Hello, my name is Trevon Jerkins, and I'm sitting here with my Aunt Pam, who is
Writer, author.
okay. Um, so I'm really glad I got to spend the weekend with you because I've learned a lot, even when it's not about, um, even when it's not specifically about your career or things like that. I still get to learn about the philosophies of my older relatives and how they approach life, and how chill y'all are. It's good. I get to like model myself after that. You know, what I've noticed is that with my older relatives, they're slower to react. You know, they take in information. They're a bit more lighthearted, um, and y'all just seem to have things under control. That's what I noticed. So, my first question, um, seeing as we just watched Marty Supreme in theaters, it was a really good movie, and I'm saying I don't have that much ambition. I think I think if you look up ambition in the dictionary, Marty Supreme is right there. I think so. In your earlier life, how did you approach ambition?
Um, I approached ambition probably not too much different, although I don't think I would have gone quite as far as
Yes.
he did. But especially in the beginning, you're so excited about your craft,
Mm-hmm.
and it brings you so much joy. Um, you just, like I said, you're just very excited about it. So for me, I read
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote
Mm-hmm.
and I read and I wrote. Um, and I just felt like this is what I'm going to do, and nothing was going to stop me.
Mm.
Um, I would call it passion. When you're passionate about something, it's you don't think about barriers. You just think about what's my next step. How do I get to the next level?
Um, I like that you brought up passion because when I first started writing scripts, I was in ninth grade and I wasn't a big reader. And I think that was like a weakness in my writing is that I wasn't using a plot diagram. I was just thinking, oh, I have a story in my head and it's going to end up on the page somehow. But that wasn't how it worked out. And I would be in this loop of like writing scripts and like there's no way I could shoot this script because I don't know enough people, I don't have enough connections, I don't know which camera to use, and it just turned into a cycle of me starting a project, getting halfway done, and then not completing it. And as a result, I started saying, well, I'll just move to a different genre and not do what is it going? I'll just move to a different genre and not do stories. And on the other side of that, now being a more focused reader, I'm actually getting into writing a bit more because now I know there's a goal and that there's a technique to it. So as a writer, which is kind of like an invisible talent, if you will, basketball players are tall, football players are like visibly strong. As a writer, since this talent is something that you have to tell people you have, do you ever feel that you need proof to give merit to the title?
Well, and when you're writing, you have to think about why you're writing. Most will say you write for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're writing for yourself, then, like I said, again, that's where your joy comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to share that with others.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you may not get validation from the outside, or you may not get validation from the person or the people that you think you're going to get it from.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is why you really need to focus on, hey, is this good? Did I send the message that I wanted to send in this story? Um, what's my motivation for writing what I'm writing?
So the proof comes from the writer themselves.
Absolutely.
Oh, and that's just kind of like that's also I've been reading The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, and in the book he talks about the art being completed for the artist's passion before it's completed for the audience. So in that way, that brings me to my next question: who do you dedicate your work to?
Wow, that's deep. I would say that much of my work would be dedicated to a family member who actually was my initial inspiration to write. I was dealing with some grief, and during the process of that loss, I started a journal. I was 12, and so I started writing poetry, and I read Maya Angelou. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And I loved so much the way that she wrote because it was prose, it was poetic, and I really liked the way her words flowed. And even though I read a number of writers, I know I said this is my style. So again, it's the reading, not just the writing, but it's also the reading. But again, I read all different kinds of various styles of writing. But a writer finds their own voice, and whether that voice comes from pain, happiness, observation, maybe observation of what's going on in the world, or maybe let's say closer to you, which might be within your own family, or hey, I'm just out here in the world, and I've noticed, this guy on the street or the homeless person on the corner. What is their story? Just life.
Okay, so speaking of like stories and like bringing it and like looking for it, is there a line that you aren't willing to cross when sharing like personal details about yourself or family members within your writing?
Yes. One rule that I myself and other writers share is well, I guess it would depend. There are some writers who will bear all. For me personally, I'm not going to, if I share anything on a personal level, I'm going to change it so it's not recognized.
Yeah.
But I think all writers, when they're creating, you're bringing a piece of yourself, whether it's part of your personality, something that you may have experienced in your past. So again, something that you have observed that affected you in a specific way. So yes.
In that way, when we're talking about putting something out there, when writing or being a creative or making a painting or something like that, I always bring it back to like confrontation, because if I'm willing to stand on what I've said in a piece of writing or stand on what I've painted or drawn, I want to be able to answer for that.
Yes.
Like the person that I'm talking about in the piece of art comes to me and says, hey, I think this is about me. Can you expand on this? Then I need to be able to say, yes, it's about you because this, and this. And in that way, like, to sum it up, if I put it into art, then I'm gonna stand on it. I think that's another part of like, not in a negative way, but also, like you said, we're bringing a piece of ourselves into the art. So it has to be truthful, and it is confrontational in that way when you're like writing an anecdote about someone from your past, or grief or something like that. So, like you said about going through grief and beginning to write poetry as a result of that, what legacy do you want to leave in terms of your writing, or just in your personal life?
I think whether it's personal or writing, you want to know that you have you've been effective in someone's life. If I have inspired or motivated, for example, I've been published, and one of the pieces that I wrote was part of an anthology, which was about fathers and daughters and their relationships with their fathers. It was basically a collection of various authors, be it prose, poetry, etc. And I did a few book signings. And so at one of the book signings, and also this book was also used in local colleges, universities. But at one of the book signings, someone came to the table and she said, "I really enjoyed your piece, and it really moved me because of my relationship with my father." So when you hear that, you know that your writing has influenced someone, or that someone has gotten something from it.
So, not to be superficial, but do the accolades matter in terms of your legacy?
Accolades are nice. I mean, they're nice to have. But what's really more important is, did the reader get the message?
Yeah.
Were you successful in what you were trying to convey?
Like before the books were sold, like, did someone cry when they saw this page? That kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. So if you received my message, then I was successful in what I was trying to convey. Because the accolades may not come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another one. What are your favorite 3, books or like films? If you have a top 3 in those.
Gee, there's so many. Raisin in the Sun.
Okay.
One of my favorite films, plays, books.
Okay.
Lorraine Hansberry is definitely one of my favorites. And again, Maya Angelou, Richard Wright. I love old classic films because the old classic films did not have the benefit of CGI or Technicolor, color.
Yeah.
The old black and whites had to depend on real talent. So that acting, which you would have to go to, sometimes look for an independent film to see that level of acting skill. I like the old classics because when you watch the acting and you listen to the dialogue, the way they would speak to each other and insults, it was done in such a way that it's like, wow, it was just mind blowing. Some of my favorites, All About Eve, because Betty Davis, I'm a big Betty Davis fan. Like I said, the way they would just talk to each other it was not just regular conversation. It was poetic. It was I wouldn't say Shakespearean, but it was just on a different level. So,
I'll give my top 3. Maybe I'll give you something new to read. Executive Privilege by Philip Margolin. Have you heard of him?
Oh no, we were talking about that one. I think.
Did I text you and say something?
Yes, and I said I was going to put that one on my list.
Okay,
yes.
so yeah, okay, so that one, Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. That book, I feel like in some way he's a rapper, but he's like not telling people. It's like one of my favorite lines in that book, where the main character was talking about his brother and how his brother came of age and like became an adult in some way. He said his mom lifted her hands off of him and pressed them together and began to pray. Foreshadowing his brother's demise, or a callback to his brother's demise, because his brother dies in the beginning of the book. But yeah, he approaches writing in a very what's the word? Subtle, because that book is just poetry. So he's not talking in paragraphs. He's talking in like stanzas. I read it as like a text message. The way I was reading it, because texts are like straight to the point, unless you're like pouring your heart out. But if you're just giving little updates, it's like went to the store, got stopped by a cop, or saw a homeless person, gave him $5, like that. Like that's the way the writing was structured, and there was a lot in between those lines that you could pick up, reading it a second time. Okay, so the first one, that one, and then Barbarian by Lin Ewing. This is like a fantasy, like sci-fi kind of book. It's kind of like supernatural because the main character is like the son of a wizard, and he's transitioning in between like the elf world and like the real world, and like in the real world he's a rock star. So yeah, I got that book because the library was like giving away books. They were like getting rid of some, so I got a whole set of those. It's like a 4-part series, so that one was good. I read all of those like this year, so I've been getting big into reading because I wasn't in the past. Okay, transitioning back into family, I forgot to ask this question. What generational curse are you breaking in regards to like your self-expression and creativity?
Am I breaking, or am I getting ready to break? I recently took a one-on-one workshop with another author, who focuses on helping the writer to break down walls that might keep you from, like I said, reaching that next level of writing that you're trying to do. And in that, she helps you to explore your past, relationships, past, present, etc. So, as much of my family, my older family, are deceased, I've been looking at relationships, things that have happened in the past, and creating characters, and adding some depth to an existing story that I'm currently working on.
Okay, so in that way, bringing those people back through your writing, even if the reader doesn't know like who they actually are, you're immortalizing your family through your work. So could that be due to like a lack of pictures or like memorabilia of your family that you're like immortalizing them through your work now?
In a way, some yes, some no. Basically, it's when I'm creating these characters, what I'm doing is I'm taking bits and pieces and of each individual person, and creating those personalities, which will then be influencing the story as it develops.
Okay. One last question. Do you write like on the computer or like by hand?
Both.
Okay. Because what I've realized, like here recently, like looking at the computer, it distracts me a bit from like bringing the story to life.
Yes.
You know, it's like through your hands, and like that transfer from the hand to the pen to the paper is like is much different than, you know, from your hand to the keyboard into a system that puts out a word. You know.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite pen to write with?
I did, and then what I started doing, I just started grabbing pens.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'll be traveling, and so I have my backpack, and even though I have my iPad, because I had tried using the iPad
Notes app.
Thank you. But I found that for me, it was better to keep a pen, and I always carry a notebook with me. So no matter where I am, I'm always writing. I use my phone for story ideas, so I just keep I've got like a list.
Do you do voice memos?
Yeah, because I'll be thinking of something. I'm like, oh, that would be a good story, and so I'll do like maybe 2 or 3 lines, so I can remember what it is that I want to write about, and I just file it away.
Okay, so now I'm just going off the top of the head. Now I've asked all my questions. So, as a result of Sinners coming out this year, are you wary to put vampires in your story now?
Oh, absolutely not. Well, first of all, I don't write straight fiction. I write horror, suspense, psychological suspense. So yeah, you might see anything in my writing.
Okay.
Yeah, anything.
Speaking of like inspiration, I remember at the time I was writing a story about like a rebel group, and they were like it was about like the food industry and like the FDA, and like how people are conditioned to eat junk food based on like where they live and all that. So it was like a healthy group of people, and like they grow their own food, and they're about to like revolt against the junk food king or something like that, right? And I was writing that, and then this is like 2022, so They Clone Tyrone comes out. Have you heard of that? Yeah, so They Clone Tyrone comes out. I'm like, dang, this is my whole idea. Like, I'm
well, it's like this, vampires. Nosferatu, the original Nosferatu came out as a silent movie back in 1918, 1920? Yeah. Something, well, not around 1920 something.
Yeah.
Since then, there have been how many vampire movies? How many different stories? So, same thing with zombies. It's the same thing. So, it's your story. And to your as you brought that up, I had written a short story about a woman who meets this guy, and they fall in love. He whisks her off to she's like, oh, he's great, he's wonderful, and he whisks her off. He's like, well, come to my island, my family. And so she goes, and I have other things that happen in between there, but what she doesn't realize is that on the wedding day, she's not the bride, but the animal sacrifice.
Oh, the offering.
Yes, and so they descend on her at the wedding. Family does. But the movie, The Invitation, I don't know if you've seen that, is a very similar story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So I say that your version, your interpretation is your story. You might, like I said, everybody can write about vampires. Has, Interview with Vampires. She's got an entire series about vampires. May she rest in peace. And did very well, but it was her story. It was her voice. So no matter what you're writing, it's got to be your voice, because that's what the reader's going to want. If they like your voice, it doesn't matter what anybody else has written.
Yeah.
They're going to want to read your story.
Also, what I read in the Creative Act was that if an idea isn't expressed by one person, that idea is going to find its way through someone else to make it out into the world. And one interpretation of that quote might make it seem like, oh, well, the idea can only be done once. But that's not true, because, you know, there's a song out there, somebody could sample that song and make a new song. Like, that idea doesn't have to end at one person. Like, I'm sure there's so many films out there that are inspired by another film that already came out, but, you know, we're not in that writer's head. We're all in our own head, and we're like, oh, well, I don't know, I shouldn't write this because it's already out there. But, you know, having the confidence to transmit the idea through your own voice is like what is like the goal at the end of the day. So
yes, because what you'll hear is, first of all, there's no original ideas.
Yeah.
It's what you bring. Like I said, like, even though Maya Angelou's story is her story because it was her life, I'm sure many people probably read her books and said, oh, that was me. That happened to me. But it's her words. So.
Oh, one last question. Is poetry like your main genre, or are you like you don't do it anymore, or is it like, are you more focused on horror?
I'm more focused on prose, on the story. I'm not saying that I have abandoned poetry. Poetry was my intro. Poetry put me in the state of mind to write. A lot of times I would start out writing poetry before I would actually get to prose and start actually writing the story. Because it would put you in a different state of mind. You know, poetry makes you go internal.
Yeah.
And as they say, you know, get you out of your head, but into yourself, so that you can put what you need to put on the page.
Another thing that I've noticed about poetry is that as a younger person who hasn't lived that much yet, poetry is like a way for me to summarize quickly what I'm seeing around me, because I find that I don't have that many words in me to captivate. Well, no, not captivate. No, I find that I don't have that many words in me to summarize a situation. Writing a verse, or, you know, acrostic, or haiku, it's fast and it gets the point across very quickly. Kind of like a text message. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to bore people. I think poetry, it makes the most sense. Like, it could go on a t-shirt, it could go on a hoodie. And I think as I get older, I might lean more towards prose. I might have more to say. But how has that changed for you, like, over time? Like, the amount of words that you have in you.
Life will give you those words. Life will definitely give you those words. As you say, you feel like I don't have enough. As you go through life, you have experiences. You will be able to express that emotion, those feelings. Like I said, be it pain, joy. You will have different life experiences. I remember a movie I watched. It's actually one of my favorites too. Five Heartbeats.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, the main character is he's a songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of his critics says that the main character will be an exceptional songwriter after he has suffered much.
Mm.
Yes. So I mean, you can take that a lot of ways. But to me, that's the same as saying life. You know, when you experience more life, you will have more to say. When you observe more in life, you will have more to say, and you will know how to express it. When you read poetry, or like I said, the more you read, the more you will recognize things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to see when I would go to this particular store,
Mm-hmm.
I would see this woman, this older woman. She would be out there at the edge of the parking lot, and she was homeless, and she'd be out there every day. And so one day, I said, okay, well, she's out here every day. She doesn't look like she looked like she was honest. So I gave her a donation, and I said, what's your story? And she just said, well, I was a secretary. I was married. My husband passed away, and I got laid off. And I couldn't get another job. And she said, my money ran out, and here I am. I said, okay. So she looked like she might have been in her, I don't know, maybe late 60s, early 70s, something like that. And I continued to see her for a while. And then the next time I saw her, she had a walker. And then I didn't see her anymore. I haven't seen her since. So I always wondered, what happened to her? Because I know one time I had given her some money, and she says, oh, now I can sleep inside tonight. So that again, that's a life lesson.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's a way of observing, what's out there, what's going on out there, and and people. You want a good story, you people watch.
Is there an author that does a great job, like people watching?
Again, off the top of my head, well, because like I said, I read so many people. Hard to say, but I will say that Zelda Lockhart, whom I took one of my workshops with, her descriptions of her characters, you know who these people are. You know what they're going through, and how their past has influenced what they become in the book.
I'll say another author that does that very well is John Green. Have you heard of him?
Not familiar.
Okay. So he has this book. It's called The Abundance of Catherines. That's the only book I've read from him, and it's about there's a 19-year-old guy. He's supposed to be at college, but he's kind of taking a gap year. His name is, I don't know his name, but he's had 19 girlfriends, and they've all been named Catherine. And he's on a trip to Nashville to see the grave of Franz Ferdinand, the guy who got killed that started World War I. He's with his friend. They meet this girl. They have a good time, and like he ends up dating her. And throughout that entire story, it seemed like these characters were real people who have existed before, but the characters, their lives were fleshed out. and it seemed like their lives were ones that we just passed by. We wouldn't think of them. I thought that was a really good exhibition of people watching and, being quiet and just observing. So, yeah. Oh, okay. One more question. I don't know how much time is up there, but is there a book you wish you could have written?
I'm still writing it.
I know it's like an artist, like you asked them, oh, is there a song that you wish you could have like made, like like a hit song or something like that?
Yeah, I've been working on this for a while. So
okay,
but it's involved a lot of research. So because my fellow authors, when are you going to finish that? In time.
One book I wish. Okay, I wish I could have wrote Macbeth.
Okay,
that's what I'm shooting for. I wish I could have wrote that.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question: why Macbeth?
I think. Okay, this is a long story, but I saw this. It was a video essay, and it was about a show that it was critically acclaimed. It was on FX. It's called Atlanta. Have you heard of that? Okay, so yeah, it was a video essay, and it was about that. And there was somebody in the comment section. They said comedy in the 21st century is returning to a Shakespearean perspective on tragedy and turning that tragedy into something that we can laugh through the pain, kind of. And with Shakespeare, what I was seeing is that the way he comments on gender roles at a time, like in the 1600s, that kind of thing, how liberal his work and his perspective seemed was like, it was compelling because you don't think a man from that time period gives a second thought to what a woman is going through, or gives a second thought to power structures and caste systems, especially because he's an artist and he's being paid by the kings and queens. So he's kind of rich in some sense, because he can just live off of his art, which gives him a huge amount of confidence at the time. And yeah, I just like the way the story was structured and the layers and the parts where he wasn't being deep and he was just being funny. I think that was cool. So yeah, that's what I wish I would have wrote. I know that's like 400 years, but wish I would have wrote that. Okay, well, I don't have any more questions. I'm glad I got this interview. Thank you for giving me your perspective.
Welcome.
All right.